Sister is your new CD from Metal Blade, is that correct?
Yes. It's something we recorded and wrote like probably a year ago, and now we've been sort of summarizing everything and releasing it, and here we are.
And it's a dark and brooding album.
You think so?
I think so. How do you feel about it?
Well, it is for me too, but it's really just like we were really just doing what we felt was urgent, and through that we reached a lot of various, you know, emotional places, I guess. But those two are definitely a part of the feelings that I'm having as well, you know, about it. So, and if you feel that, then it's, you know, that's something that album has done, then it's true, you know. That's what I believe it is.
Tell us about Inmost Negrado, is that correct?
Negredo.
Okay.
Well, it was this sort of long, strange, elongated song that we had been sort of trying to figure out for a very long time. Became a part of this project that really took a really long time. It was sort of needed a lot of focus, I guess. Other songs sometimes get, you know, finished very fast, and some songs are really sort of floating around the whole process. And it was one of those, I think. And it has something special to it that sort of stands out from the rest of the songs in a particular way for me. And the lyrical choices was like just the general tone of the song was asking me for something coming from that place in my heart, just what those lyrics are about. It's just whatever the song begs for, or the other way around, is the way to work. Like one thing just quite irrationally leads to another, but it still has a great point. And yeah, you know, the song invoked everything that is in the song in a way. It's a special one for all of us. We all love that song very dearly.
Were you trying to recreate the word, the flesh, the devil with the new record?
No, not whatsoever. That was the last thing we wanted to do. It was important for us to not make that record again, or just, you know, walk in the same circle we had been in before. And at least, you know, it came very natural to break out of that anyway. That's, for us, that's just a natural part of the whole thing. We are aiming forwards all the time, you know. I think we had, through all the touring we had been doing and getting so much closer to each other and sort of defining between each other the sort of what we felt was in Solitude in a way. Through that, the sound of our new record sort of just emerged out of that period of playing and sort of being almost too much together, like just it wasn't really like we were sitting around talking about how we wanted the record to sound, but it just became very evident after a while, like sensing the energy of the group, like this is going to be special, or I think we're on the same page for where we're going. Like just the general attitude towards having a band was, you know, going another direction, an interesting direction that we felt was urgent. So and it was funny how that sort of washed over us when things started to happen. Like we're really capturing now something that feels genuinely like the five of us, in a far stronger way than we've done before. And everybody was sort of looking at each other during the process, like really feeling it, everybody. So it was great.
Where did you record it, and with who did you record it?
We recorded it in Stockholm, which is not very far from where we live, actually, at the studio called Studio Cobra, together with a producer called Martin Ehrenkrona. I guess we had been looking for a studio not looking for a studio, but we were looking for a sort of solution to record this album. We even, like, you know, talked about the alternative to do it ourselves, like in the woods, like in the cabin or something, which sounds, you know, nice when it's an idea, but when you think about it, it wouldn't have worked really. And we were almost getting sort of frustrated without not having like really a plan for where to record when we were writing. And somehow through like common acquaintances with this guy Kuni or Martin who produced the album, we met him and just started talking around. And he had this studio where we recorded it, where he had recorded like not much metal music really, but more pop music and instrumental music and soundtracks and stuff. So this studio was just this amazing place filled with old equipment and strange instruments, and just the general atmosphere seduced us the first time we were there, and then we just it became immediately clear that was the place. And his importance in this whole thing has been huge. Not that he wrote anything or whatever, but he was a really good person to bounce ideas with, or you know, he had very he knew where we were going and taking it very seriously, and he took it just as seriously as we did, like almost as a sixth member or something. For my part, the album is sort of dedicated to him. It's his contribution was amazing. Just being there as a person, a good friend, and just a person who understands what we're doing better than most people do.
Are you Satanists like the fellas in Watain?
I wouldn't define it that way for all of us. I can't speak for the group. We're not. We're 5 individuals with very different comprehensions in a lot of stuff, but in some things we're completely on the same page, and that's what makes In Solitude. And we don't have. We really don't have an agenda or anything like that when it comes to spirituality. You know, we are very. In Solitude is just a rock band, you know, and the 5 of us bring in our personal lives into this, and you know, we find things between us that we accentuate. You know, I personally might bring a lot of the you know, spiritual subject with my lyric matter, and also the sort of aesthetic that the 5 of us want to project and again with the record sort of resonates with that. But for me personally, it's definitely a spiritual reality. It's part of my life. But I'm one person in our band can't speak for the 5 of us. You know, we're a very diverse group of 5 pieces. You will be surprised how different the characters in this band is, with which they are in Watain as well. But yeah, I can't speak for the whole band.
Do they slam dance, or are there ever pits at your shows?
In the crowd? In America, basically. When it happens, it's basically in America. I don't see it very much in Europe at all. I mean, it looks genuinely like they're actually bursting with energy, and to me that, I don't know if I would class it as a mosh pit at our show. It's more just people freaking out, basically, and we appreciate that. I mean, whatever our music evokes in the crowd, you know, that's important. It's really important. So, yeah, but it's really in America that it happens. You know, it's different in Europe and Sweden.
Are you familiar with the newer rock bands out of America, like Spiral Arms or Orchid?
Not those 2 bands particularly, but there's a lot of new music, or at least the latest sort of 7 years or something, that I've really enjoyed out of America. Like a lot of more psychedelic music. There was a record called Prayer of Death by a band called Entrance that I really enjoyed, and like stuff like Wooden Ships and Moon Duo. A lot of good psychedelic music actually coming from America, I think. It's a lot of interesting stuff happening in noise music as well, and power electronics and stuff like that, just or ambient music. I mean, there's a certain sense of there's a strong underground culture outside of metal in America, which I appreciate. Whereas in Sweden, the underground culture can mainly be found in sort of punk music and metal or sort of noise music genres. Whereas here it's sort of it's everywhere, which I really appreciate. You know, it's we were in Portland the other day at Mississippi Records, just seeing the place where they work, and they had a gallery downstairs and everything. It sort of projected this sort of attitude that there is a lot in music in America, that people are actually doing things, actually starting labels or clubs or whatever, which is something I admire a lot, and it's sort of fading out in Sweden, in Sweden and in Europe a lot, which is sort of sad. I think you really, it's good that people are actually doing things here, I think.
Are you a collector? Do you collect stamps, or do you have a large record collection, or?
I don't have any money anymore, so I don't buy that much records. If I have any money, I probably buy some cheap book or something like that, a record every now and then. But I mean, I collect bones, I collect stones, I collect branches, paintings, and just whatever I find in the details of existence that I feel this might be important to me for a long time, then I keep it. And that can be anything from, you know, a rusty nail to the skull of a deer or something. I constantly collect things. I walk around in the woods a lot, just filling bags with interesting small things that I feel are important.
So what's next? You're on tour with Tribulation and Huatain. Is that did I mispronounce it?
Yeah.
It's what? What's next for In Solitude after this tour?
Trying to tour as much as possible in Europe as well, where we haven't done anything proper yet. We did 2 gigs in Poland and Germany earlier, but I think it's time to tour properly in Sweden as well and in Europe. We're doing something together with Inquisition and Behemoth later this year, and but apart from that, we don't have that much planned really. But I would guess that it's like it would probably be just as much touring as we did with the last record. It's gonna be pretty intense, I would believe. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
And then finally, do you have any last words, anything that you'd like to say to somebody that might be watching this?
Yeah, that they really should, you know, if they get a record, they should just listen to it with themselves, if you understand what I mean. I just, if they go out and buy the record, I just wish that we can meet in that record, the band and that person.